Coming up next, on their 20th anniversary, the Star Wars movies are coming back with freshly restored Prince.
Of the galaxy depends on how you play the game. You're piloting the Naboo fighter.
I've seen dead ends in infinite space.
There's something special about flying through space and taking on Darth Vader and having lightsaber duels. Welcome to The Blessing Show, where I break down what's up. So, let's talk about what's up with Lucasfilm Games and Star Wars. Jedi, the Force, Sith, the Empire. These are all terms that we know and understand. Star Wars is about as pop culture gets, and Star Wars video games, in my opinion, sit right alongside the movies, shows, and comics as a valued extension of the franchise. With the revival of Lucasfilm Games, this brings a new future for Star Wars games, and I think it's a future worth diving into. So let's talk about it. Some of my earliest gaming memories are of time spent at a friend's house playing Star Wars Episode 1 Racer on the N64. That was actually my first experience playing a racing game at such high speeds, along with vehicles that would explode if you ran them to a wall. It was a blast. I also remember other time spent at a different friend's house playing Star Wars Demolition for the PlayStation 1. Flash forward to me obtaining a PlayStation 2, and Star Wars Battlefront. Those original Battlefront games were nothing short of special. Multiplayer class-based shooters where you deplete enemy troops by capturing command posts and blasting anyone in your way. You could choose between playing as the Empire or the Rebellion, command stormtroopers, drive AT-ATs, summon and play as Luke Skywalker, drive a tank on Naboo, and truly live out the Star Wars fantasy. Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PS2 remains one of my favorite games on the platform because more than anything, the game was fantastic and served as an unexpected gateway to get me into multiplayer shooters. What Star Wars Demolition, Racer, and Battlefront all had in common were that they introduced me to a new type of game. None of these games were wholly original, but they were good, except for maybe Demolition. And that's only scratching the surface of Star Wars games. You've got Star Wars Rogue Squadron, which is a beloved series of flight games, the Lego Star Wars games, action games such as Jedi Academy, Force Unleashed, The Old Republic, the MMO, Knights of the Old Republic, the BioWare RPG, Super Star Wars for the SNES, and I've barely made a dent in this list. According to this article, there have been over 140 Star Wars games. And what I think is cool is that all of these games are wildly different. Different stories, different characters, different genres, and different platforms. There are 2D Star Wars games, 3D Star Wars games, handheld, VR, prequel, sequel, original, good, bad, and so on and so forth. Star Wars sits next to Mario, GTA, Final Fantasy, and whoever else you want to name as a storied video game franchise. That said, I understand why you wouldn't think of it in that way. Since 2013, Electronic Arts has held exclusive rights to make Star Wars games. And since then, it's been nothing short of a flawless console generation's worth of Star Wars releases. From that exclusivity deal, we got the Battlefront reboot in 2015. Exciting, yet in many ways didn't live up to the original games from Pandemic Studios. We got a canceled Star Wars game, Project Ragtag, which was being developed by Visceral Games along with Amy Hennig of Uncharted fame. We got Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was the centerpiece of the big loot box controversy in 2017. That game went on to inspire legislation around microtransactions and randomized drops. And we got Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was a pretty good game, albeit kind of buggy. This isn't supposed to be the part of the video where I purely shit on EA. Reddit has that under control. Last year, we got Star Wars Squadrons, which was a pretty cool flight sim, and Battlefront 2 has even been making big moves to maintain a healthy player base since its rocky launch. It's just worth pointing out that the last generation of Star Wars games has been relatively unexciting at best and rocky at worst. Where are the bounty hunting games, the BioWare RPGs, the speeder bike races? Where is the flavor, Roger? Listen, before EA, all Star Wars games weren't great, but we get a variety of them. And getting to see different developers have different takes on Star Wars made the games more exciting than they have been for the last generation. But there's a new hope. We're entering a new era for Star Wars games. Lucasfilm Games recently announced that they'll be the new umbrella under which Star Wars games will be released. They're operating similarly to Marvel Games, who are responsible for partnering with studios and publishers to figure out what fits best for Marvel IP. Lucasfilm Games has already announced their first Star Wars collaboration in the form of an open-world Star Wars adventure developed by Ubisoft Massive, the studio responsible for The Division. They've also announced an Indiana Jones game, but legally, because of previous comments, I'm not allowed to talk about about it.
You've seen the Indiana Jones movies, right?
Nope, I've
What?
not.
Whoa, hold on.
Indiana Jones has just never like really been the thing that I feel like I've needed to watch.
We
Yeah, I
could
got
do
no
it.
desire. I do want to watch the Dora the Explorer movie, which I assume is very similar. Ubisoft massive Star Wars doesn't only read as an exciting prospect. It feels like a promise of what's to come. A story-driven Star Wars game from the Division team could be a third-person action shooter from the perspective of the Resistance. Maybe it's a games as a service where the world evolves over seasons. Maybe it's multiplayer, or maybe it's an entirely single-player open-world action game like Assassin's Creed, but you play as a brand new original character, wielding a cool sword or a bow staff. Much like how the possibilities are open for what UB Massive's Star Wars game could be, the same can be said for Star Wars future in general. What does a fast-paced Star Wars action game look like in the hands of Platinum Games? What could we get from a Star Wars racing game developed by Codemasters? What could a Star Wars roguelite in the vein of Hades look like, where you play as Darth Maul escaping the depths of Dathomir? And what pressure does that put on EA to make Jedi Fallen Order 2 even bigger and better when there's competition in their midst? Believe it or not, I don't really consider myself a big fan of the Star Wars movies. I think they're fun Hollywood blockbusters, and I acknowledge their place in film history, but I personally find it really hard to get invested. I wouldn't say the same thing about the video games though. There's something about Star Wars that just makes an exciting video game, be it the flashiness of the visuals, laser swords, gunfights, magic, and the grandiose tri-tale of war and good versus evil. I think the world of Star Wars is more of a fun one to play in for me than to watch. So I'm excited about what's next for Star Wars video games, whether that be Jedi Fallen Order 2, an open world Ubisoft game, or whatever else may be in store. But for now, we'll have to wait and see.